and to enjoy the program. We have quite a few candidates here, and we want to make sure we have plenty of time for questions and answers. So again, just to remind you of who our timers are, candidates, when we start the questions and answers, it's Marilyn and Kelly right here in the front. So you're going to want to pay attention to the signs that they hold up. It'll tell you how much time you have left, and more importantly, when to start talking. The rules for the Bang and Claw Award are that only members can ask questions. You have 45 seconds to frame your question. No exceptions, please, and no speeches. Please wait for the microphone and then state your name clearly. Rating our Bang and Claw questions today are several board members that we have here in the audience. Todd, raise your hand, please. Nate Matro, in the back. Jan Russell, right there. Joe Farrell, there you are. And Carol Micken. Thank you. And last but not least, Joni James is our moderator today. Joni is the Chief Executive Officer of the St. Petersburg Downtown Partnership. Prior to that, she was the Deputy Editor of the editorial page at the Tampa Bay Times for 6 years. She's also worked for the Miami Herald, the Wall Street Journal, the Orlando Sentinel, and the Register-Guard. Please, audience, Tigers, welcome Joni James, and let's start the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Long. Thank you, Tigers, and thanks to these 8 candidates who came out today to talk to us. I happen to know they're on a road show these days. I was with them at St. Pete College last night in Seminole, where they devoted 30 minutes roughly to each of these 3 races. We don't have as much time, so we're going to move quickly. I will tell you this, I'm not going to touch on in my questions anything about career academies, because from what I heard last night, they all like them. So if you have a more specific, nuanced question, save it for when y'all have a chance to talk. But we're going to move into some other questions. Before I start, and I'm going to allow each of them to introduce themselves for a minute, I'm going to remind you, for those just turning into this election, which of these candidates you can actually vote for, okay? So the folks over here are vying for an at-large county-wide district, meaning their names will be on every ballot in Pinellas County. Remember, school boards are nonpartisan races. If no one on August 30th gets 50% plus one vote, there will be a runoff among the 2 highest vote getters on November 8th. Move this up. There we go. Is that? On this side, we have 2 different races represented. We have District 4 and District 5. These are single-member districts. You must live in those districts to vote in those districts. However, once someone from those districts is elected to the board, they are supposed to represent the interests of the entire county school system. So in District 4, the candidates for District 4 raise their hands quickly. This is the northernmost district in the county. Think Tarpon Springs, think Dunedin, think Palm Harbor. Okay? Then District 5, the other 3 candidates this is parts of Clearwater, Bel Air, Safety Harbor, Largo. We also have incumbents running in both of these races. Kim Peluso is an incumbent in District 4, and Carol Cook is an incumbent in District 5. There are no incumbents running for the District 1 seat. So with that, I'm going to get started here with questions. And since we're in St. Petersburg, thank you. Introductions first. Thank you very much. And we drew numbers. Mr. Beal is apparently not joining us today. So we're going to have introductions over here, starting with Mr. Stewart, Ms. Lentino, and then Mr. Dudley. Okay, if you could take a minute each, please. You're free to stand.
Good afternoon. My name name is Dr. Matt Stewart. I'm running for school board for the county-wide seat. There's a lot of good things going on in Pinellas County schools, whether it's our choice options, which number over 70, our career academies, or our increased graduation rates, or our summer bridge program, which my son took advantage of. However, there's lots of room to grow here in Pinellas County. As many of you have seen, and partly what inspired me is the Failure Factory series. Being born and raised here in Pinellas County, I know that we're a strong community and we care deeply about our children. And I'm proud to be running for the school board because I think that we do need to close the achievement gap because we've talked about it for too long. We need to increase school readiness. We have zip codes here in Pinellas County where more than 50% of our student population is not school ready. And we can do that with partners. Retention and recruitment of teachers needs to be a priority, especially around areas of salary and benefits, and the areas where we can better engage and increase the climate. And lastly, we need to create an economic pipeline here in Pinellas County that addresses 21st century jobs. Thank you so much for having me.
Hello everyone, Joanne Lentino running for the at-large seat, Pinellas County School Board. Nice to be here today. Prior to coming here in 2003, I had a 17-year career for cultural and community affairs for the city of Las Vegas as an administrator. I also received my bachelor's at University of Nevada, Las Vegas. When I arrived here in 2003, I was anxious to get involved in the community, and I reached out and began my teaching career as a substitute teacher. Eventually, I was hired at Gulfport Elementary School as a first grade educator, and I enjoyed that experience very much. When it was time to leave, I decided I would stay involved in teaching because I cared about our children, our teachers, and our families. And I maintained a volunteer status at Gulfport Elementary School, and I also was able to reach out into my community because I am engaged in my community. I sit on the board of the Friends of the St. Pete Beach Library, the General Employee Pension Board, Tampa Bay Estuary, and it gives me a great pleasure to serve my community. It's also important that we look at early childhood education, address the discipline in our classroom, and parent involvement. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I am Bill Dudley. I'm a 38-year career educator. The only time I wasn't an educator was when I was on St. Pete City Council for 8 years, and even during then I didn't stray far from my roots. I was on the Transportation and Safety Committees as well as the Youth Services Committee, which I chaired for 5 years. I'm an educator, have been all my life. It's a career path that I chose when I left the College of Architecture at the University of Florida, decided to become a teacher. And it's the best move I ever made, and I am very troubled by some of the things that are going on in the schools, but by and large our schools are really doing pretty well. We have a couple of glitches in the road that we need to get fixed, and people who know me and understand where I come from will understand that I am the guy to do that. And I thank you. Please go to my website, all the stuff.
Okay, from District 4, this is a single-member district. We have first Mr. Peluso and then Ms. Long.
There we go. Good afternoon. Again, my name is Ken Peluso. Thanks for having us here. It's great to be back. I'm currently the incumbent in District 4 running for re-election. I've been in Pinellas County for 30 years now. I've always been very active in the community and been passionate for education. Please look at my website, votekenpeluso.com, for details. I have a very simple campaign message. Every thought, word, and action of our school board needs to be directly focused on preparing our children for the future. I believe our community deserves to have someone who has the experience necessary to address our challenges, and I've been serving this community for 30 years, both in numerous elected positions and throughout many different community and state organizations, and I feel I will be the best candidate to continue in this race. I look forward to sharing my views and answering your questions, and thank you again for coming.
Good afternoon, thank you for having me. My name is Eileen Long, and I'm starting my 34th year in education, all but 2 here in Pinellas County. I teach at a dropout prevention school in Clearwater. I'm also a mother of 2 children, one in Palm Harbor in the IB, and then I have a child with special needs. I'm extremely passionate about our education system. Teachers need to have the freedom to teach. The pacing guide needs to be just that, a guide. Young teachers coming in shouldn't have to be looking behind them to see if they're going to be let go of this termination without cause. 36 districts in the state of Florida have put in language into the contract preventing this from happening. Pinellas County should be 37. Children deserve the best teachers, and teachers should not be looking behind them, seeing if they have a career next year. Working together with the stakeholders, we can be the best. Thank you.
District 5, we drew, by the way, we drew numbers, the candidates did, before we came. Ms. Cook is first, followed by Mr. Santana, and then Mr. Petrocelli.
Good afternoon. I am Carol Cook, and currently serving on the school board. There's a lot of campaign rhetoric out there, and one thing that I can promise is that every vote that I have taken on behalf of children and every policy that has been put in place, I have viewed it as what is best for the children in our district, and I will continue to do so. I have experience on several state board of directors as well as within the district. Florida School Boards Association has awarded me the Advanced Boardsmanship distinction. It's a distinction that is held by only 5 other school board members in the state of Florida. I have continued to learn the job, I have continued to learn the district, and I have continued to learn my craft. I serve with Mr. Dudley on the School Transportation Safety Committee that is set up as a subcommittee of the MPO. And there are a lot of things that are still challenges ahead, and we have faced many, many hurdles.
My name is Seán Santana, and I'm definitely here because I want to make a change in what we've been having. I see myself as a civil servant, but when I finished high school, a very long time ago, I finished with a 3rd grade reading and writing ability. I was promoted because I was a troublemaker. I know what these children, the ones that are outlined in the failure factories, the thousands of our neighbors, our children, they are not prepared for their future because they do not know how to read and write. I know what they feel. I know what they're going to go through. I was blessed that I was able to join the military, and I was able to escape that, and I have not gone back to that. And the person before you is because of the opportunities that were presented to me. I want to make sure that that $1.3 billion that we spent on education last year is spent well and educate our children because we do not want them to fail. We want them to succeed.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Petrocelli. I'm a product of Pinellas County Schools. My 3 children are a product of Pinellas County Schools. My grandchildren are currently or have graduated from Pinellas County Schools. My conviction, my concern is we're going the wrong way. 4 years ago, we flushed children to South St. Pete and didn't do any follow-up. There was hardly anything mentioned about how well they were doing over the next 3 years. And all of a sudden, the St. Petersburg Times runs some articles and people all of a sudden say, my goodness, it doesn't seem to be working. Come out on the 30th and vote for me. I will look for the answers. Basic is probably where we need to go. Thank you.
All right, thank you, candidates, very much. We're going to stay seated as we have responses. You're going to be limited generally to 45 seconds for responses. As we're saying, we're going to try to move this along. We're going to start with the first question is for all the candidates. And that is an issue that's near and dear to St. Pete and that many of you mentioned in your introduction. The failure factory, some of you have taken umbrage with that name from the Tampa Bay Times series, but something you can't refute even after a year of focus, when 3 of the schools have improved their grades, is that only 1 out of 4 of the children in those schools are passing their English exams. That is half the passage rate of the rest of the district. You've got a 50-year-old civil rights claim that is being reignited. You have an investigation by the the Federal Department of Education, and you have another legal action from the Concerned Organization for Quality Education of Black Students at another level. What strategies are in place right now that you have faith are going to turn this tide? Or what strategies do you want to introduce to turn this tide? You have 45 seconds. We're going to start here and go all the way down the road. We'll be switching that up as we go through each question. Actually, if you could we remain seated just to speed this along?
Okay.
What strategies do you believe are in place that are going to turn this tide? Or what strategies will you advocate for as a member of the board?
Okay, what has been done so far is there have been some personal changes and shifts that people are in place, and I would advocate if they want this thing to work, they're going to have to keep them there for consistency's sake. You cannot keep changing administrations and teachers every year and expect to have a positive change. So I think proof's in the pudding. If they will keep those faculties and staffs together and continue pumping the resources. They spent over $1 million extra there's actually 7 failing schools in the county, and if they continue to pump that money in and monitor them, I think we'll start to see an appreciable change.
Well, first of all, I am under the impression, and I've experienced this firsthand, that the teachers that have been asked to leave Melrose Elementary School were very much a part of the success that we saw in Shop. It's unfortunate that those people that were contributors to the little success that we saw in the school have been let go. I do believe that there's a parent engagement in place that Nikita Reed, our principal at Melrose Elementary School right now, is starting to implement. There's been a reach out for the members that were volunteers last year at Melrose, and I was one of those volunteers that is going to help to get the neighborhood involved with parent engagement. And also Pastor Rainey has started a program that I've been invited to participate in this month to engage parents in the solution of the schools.
Education forms a problem for us, and if we want student success, we need the involvement of the schools, the parents, and the community. With our schools, I think I commend the school board for the longer school day focused on math and literacy. I think we need areas where we're not disciplining our students and sending them outside of school, so areas like restorative justice in our schools. And times where we can better engage students with after-school clubs or make them feel more included as part of the school day. But we cannot and we will not be able to be successful without the involvement of parents. And we can't keep asking parents to come to the schools. We need to go and meet the parents where they're at, in the community and at houses of worship. And every parent, like myself, wants their child to succeed. But we need to provide a boot camp to be able to help them around tutoring and how to be better engaged with their students.
I believe we need to be proactive, not reactive. We opted out principals and teachers that were building bonds and starting to see success. The most important job of a teacher is building relationships with your students and their families and the community. That should occur before any learning as far as textbooks takes place. We should have waited until we saw the test scores. And the teachers that were showing success should have been moving on and able to work longer with the students. We would see success. We've got to think before we move. We can't wait until it's there, we want to be reactive. Thank you.
This district has been proactive. I got on this board in November of 2014. Since that time, we have been focused and are laser focused on improving our schools down there. Initiated programs in 2014. The benefits of those are just being realized now. Mild to moderate gains, if you will, but the new changes, the whole point of initiating the program in 2014 was to monitor, evaluate, and make appropriate changes. That's exactly what we've done. That's exactly what we're doing. We made a substantial amount of change with our transformation zones, transformation schools, transformation teams. That will come into play this year. It will be extremely successful. We had 7F schools. We now only have 2. Next year we will have none.
The general impression seems to be that we waited until the articles in the newspaper were printed before we did anything. I'm here to tell you that is absolutely incorrect. 3 years ago, we started Summer Bridge, which is an opportunity for students to go to school during the summer so that we didn't have the summer slide back. We have focused on the leadership that was in the school as well as teachers that are there to make sure that they have the proper professional development and that they were able to do the work with the children. We also have now, for the second time, extended the length of the school day so that the children will have more time to concentrate on their math and their language arts programs that are going on. And so we have, little by little, added more and more programs. We've also hired a man, Antonio Burt, that has a track record of success.
Whenever we go into a failing business, we find that they usually have strayed, gone off the path of where they were successful. I believe, number one, we need to go back to basics. Number two, just as we've done in our campaign, we need to tell the truth, be honest, and get the stakeholders in the community to work together for common sense. It is silly to send homework home if the parents are unable to read or help with the homework.
The reality is that by the time that I get onto the board, this school session would already been in play and be well on the way. There is nothing that I can do other than be disruptive if I try to change anything. My commitment is to make sure that the people that are doing this work get all the resources that they need in order to be successful, because we need them to be successful, and I will contribute everything I can to make sure that that happens. Keeping right on line with the real things that are happening, the data that's coming out, making decisions as to how to improve the takeaway. But we need to bring in the community, we need to bring the parents and the teachers and everybody together to work as a team, and that is where I'm going to contribute.
This is going to be a lightning round question, just a yes or no, and if you don't, real quickly, part of what the Failure Factory series pointed out too is that the resegregation of schools that happened when we ended our busing policies